Do you want to know how to attach natural greenery to supplement your artificial Christmas garland? I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. My Christmas garland, and apologies because my Facebook Live isn't working again today, so after my second attempt I've come on to just regular videoing, whereas yesterday I did about 5 or 6 attempts, but I thought I would cut my losses today. So if you haven't seen yesterday's video, I was showing you, oh gosh, this is heavy now, how to fluff up your Christmas garland, the artificial Christmas garland. And then I folded my Christmas lights in half to find the midpoint. And then from there, attached the Christmas lights to the middle of the garland and then at the end, and then it was much easier to evenly distribute them throughout the garland. I then added in my red berries, doing the same way, finding the midpoint of the green garland, the midpoint of the red berry garland, and attaching them in and twisting them to hold. And then I came in with the gold at the end, and the gold and the red berries are the same length, those strips of garland, and they were just sitting in the middle of the garland, so I had green tips with nothing on them. So what I did actually, after I finished filming, is I took out the gold and I cut it in half, so that I could then start with the gold section coming in this way, and then it goes red, and then when you get to the other end, that's my battery pack clattering, the other end of the garland has got, oh, that's going to pull my lights over, that's got gold on that end as well, so it's going red gold, no, gold green, red green, and then gold green at the other end. So it does depend what you've got on your garland, what you've got to hand, as to what your garland's going to look like. So I'm going to now add in the fresh greenery. So I'll adjust the arm of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So I hope you can see down there. That looks okay to me. So again, I'll just work from the midpoint outwards, and again it's catching my lights. It's all a bit of a disaster today. Things are falling over all over the place. So I've got my midpoint of the red here, and I've picked this morning some berried ivy, which I really love. So it doesn't matter what greenery you use if you're choosing to put fresh green into your garland, but you will need to make sure it's robust, and ideally to have given it a good drink of water before you put it into your garland. And just for demonstration purposes, I've cut this straight off the tree and I'm going to add it straight in as well. So I've got my midpoint here, and I'm going to have the greenery going in this side, and then off camera I will decorate the other end. And what I'm doing here is layering up, so that any point I decide I haven't got enough time to finish off, I can stop. But tomorrow, if I've got more time, when I go out and walk the dog, I will have one last trip around our garden to see what else I can chop down. So I might put bay in it, but I'm not doing it all together because I just find it sometimes too difficult collecting everything you need all in one go, and I do prefer this layering up of materials, and it just means at any point I can decide I've finished the garland without it looking lopsided. So I am going to be working from the end to the middle, or the middle to the end, and to get everything sort of having a central flow. Now if I was doing this off camera, I wouldn't be making it on the bench here, because I'm making it flat. You know, the garland's laying flat on my bench. It's got a plain bottom, which is just the greenery, and then everything else, the berries and the glittered holly, is sort of rising up and getting this lovely 3D profile. But when I come to hang it down my stairs or across my mantelpiece, it'll drape in a different way, and it can become quite heavy, and especially if you're hanging it on your mantelpiece, you may find that it starts to tilt round a bit, so the top face that you thought was the top face is actually rotated round a bit. So out of preference, I would always make these in situ and fasten it, particularly if you're going up the staircase, onto your banisters first, and then come back in and add in all the decorative materials. Now here I've chosen, as I say, the berried ivy. You could use Christmas tree trimmings, although what I would say is that, as with your live Christmas tree, you'll find that the pine will dry out over time, and you may then, you'll have pine needles going up the staircase as well. So you may not want to to do that, but I do like the buried ivy, and I'm going to attach it in the same way as I did my other bits of decorative materials, by laying it into the door wreath and then twist tying it in place. So it's got two arms of the wide branches of the garland, and I lay the real material, the fresh greenery, between them, and then just twisting it round. And it is like those old-fashioned sandwich bag ties. I don't think we have them so much these days, the little white strips. And you can cut the greenery as long or as short as you like. The shorter you cut it, the more compact your overall garland will be, and the longer you cut it, the the bigger and the wilder it will look, and the more exuberant. So I'm going for, when in doubt, go for something quite short. So I'm probably cutting them between finger and thumb. That's probably about 15 centimetres long, and then just going through, evenly positioning them. And I'm using just the buried pieces here. I'm sort of discarding the stalk end, but it may be, if you've not got much greenery, you can't always have the berries on every branch. You might decide to intersperse that with some of the ivy that is just, the remaining bushy bits that doesn't have any decorative detail on it. I mean, I could put that in there, and against everything else, you won't know. It won't look obvious that that's not got berries on it. And push through like that. And then I've got, as I say, absolutely loads of ivy here, and I've got enough. When I get to this midpoint, everything was going in with the berries pointing that way, and then when I get to the midpoint, I will put the berries in going the other way. So it's got this central area that everything is going to flow out of in the middle of my red. It sort of changes direction, and the way I've managed to deal with that with the berries is they've all gone in the same way. So I fluffed up the berries this way, but when I got to past the centre, you can roll that across, you just manoeuvre them so they do face the other way. So you've got that extra control, and if it doesn't quite sit where you want it to sit, you can tie it in with your the pine, the garland branches, to make it twist the way that you want it to go. So I shall carry on doing this, and then I'll post a picture once I've uploaded the video to the group, and then you can see what I'm doing. But it's quite simple really, and I'll just chop that down. It's fallen off my table, so I have to chop another bit. This bit's nice and bushy here. I'm getting rid of the yellowy leaves, just so it does look as good as it can do. I think I will cut that down and hold on to it so it doesn't fall away, and just go back in. So you can do this as sparsely as you like if you've not got many materials to use, or if you've got easy access to lots of robust Christmas greenery, you could make a really full garland, and that'll look really luxurious. So again, I'm laying it on between two branches and giving it a twist, and then the more green you add in and the decorative materials, the less obvious these very unsightly branches of the original artificial garland look. So they're really just there as a sort of the spine, the base of your garland, rather than being in full view. So if I grab my light batteries there so they won't go across the table, and then you can see there, it's just looking, every time I add something in, it's just looking fuller and fuller. So if you enjoyed the video, to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.